Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, has a little bit of volatility today, but not too much. We are sort of hovering between that, 42k, 42.5k level, or 42 and 700,000. So Bitcoin crypto is generally a little bit down today, and we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin chart. I'm going to focus on the short term because I guess most of you know my scenarios as well. Just very briefly for all new members, my primary expectation is still that we are going to hold support here, even though we broke below that 42.7k level, but we're currently holding the 42.5 very strongly. And in my opinion, the price has not sustainably broken below that 42.7k level. That was a very important support. And even though the immediate uptrending scenario is broken with that, I think we can find another way, but it has not really been broken, and it's not convincing. I mean, it was broken, but so far it doesn't convince me yet. However, we are still in a short-term downtrend, so it's also absolutely possible that we break here to the downside. It's a very uncertain situation at the moment, and anybody who's trading, personally, I would not open a position here at the moment until we're back in an uptrend. So because we are still in a short-term downtrend, we're going to take a look at that in a moment. That is my primary scenario, that we hold support, go up here first, but then eventually will come down. I still think we need to get here into this region between 20 and 29k. It won't happen tomorrow. It might not happen next week. It might happen next month, maybe. Maybe only in 2 months or maybe in 3 months. I don't know. But in my opinion, Bitcoin will only get really to sustainable new all-time highs when we have finished the correction in this range. And this is, in my opinion, very important. We need to make that lower low. This is part of usually how a correction ends. In my opinion, we need to get below that lower low from June, which was at 28.7k. So this is typically what assets do. This is typically what Bitcoin does, especially in a high level correction like that. And I've said many times before, when an asset has adopted a certain behavior, it doesn't change it. It doesn't change it throughout its entire lifetime. So that makes me quite confident that we're going to reach that area down there. But as I said, primarily at the moment, even though it's really at a tipping point at the moment, primarily I would still go with that view that we're going to hold support here. And you can see how relevant that level is. I mean, we broke yesterday that 42.7. Now we're holding again support. It is interesting, and we're seeing already bullish divergences on the chart. So let me go here in the short-term view, and that is more interesting at the moment because usually I already cover the longer-term views in the videos, but what is happening here in the short term is quite interesting. So Bitcoin turned around up here. We saw it coming on the daily MACD. It was turning around, and we have since then come down, had that bear flag here that broke to the downside. We crossed below the 42.7k level. And if I go to the hourly chart, we can see that there was a beautiful retest. So the price dropped to 42.1k. And then we had a beautiful retest of that 42.7k level here. And then we had another move down, moved sideways. So this looks to me like you could call it a rectangle pattern or a bearish flag even. At the moment, at least, because you have this strong and impulsive move down, and what we're doing here looks fairly corrective. Said before that this fractal, so a fractal is usually a cutout of the chart, that patterns that repeat themselves time and time again. That's called a fractal. So, and it's always interesting if you have one fractal to compare it to another fractal and how that might play out, because they often play out in very similar ways. As I said, if a certain asset has adopted a certain behavior, it typically doesn't change it. So we need to be aware of this. And again, we are at a tipping point here at the moment. So I have to show you all my findings, basically everything that I see in the charts. What I find very interesting is, as I said before here, this fractal. Look at that, and look at how this one looks exactly the same way. So you had your peak, you made a lower high, then you're coming down very impulsively, and then you have your correction, your first correction, maybe this one, you have come down, you have another correction, maybe this one, then you come down, have another move to the upside, and then you lose it. So very interesting, certainly worth having an open mind here and understanding that this is certainly what could happen, but we also need to be aware that we are just holding support just above a very important support level, which is the 50-day moving average. So something that I said earlier before is that in this current scenario, I think the breakout to the downside is only confirmed if we get a retest, which we did, and also if we break below the previous rejection point. And the previous rejection point is here, 42.1k. Now we haven't broken it yet. So it is still very much here in the limbo, yeah, very much uncertain. And yeah, we could define here a bearish flag pattern. And to the upside, yeah, we can break to the upside, but that would be the 42.7k level in my opinion. To the downside, it is the 42.1k. Yeah, very, very important. We are holding still, in my opinion, here in some way support. So as you can see, this is really that very, very relevant level at 42.1k. What is also very, very interesting, despite all these bearish flag patterns, and I'm gonna take them out because they might confuse people. I leave that one in here because that is highly relevant. But we can observe here something that that is interesting, and that you can currently observe in many other crypto or altcoin, on many altcoin charts as well. And this is a descending wedge. So it's basically a pattern that can break to the upside and down. Yeah. However, it would be more likely in this case to break actually to the upside. So it's quite interesting because you've got this bearish flag pattern, but you are actually in a higher degree or a larger descending wedge, and that would be more meaningful because the descending wedge is the higher level pattern here, and that is then more likely actually to play out. And this also means that if we observe a descending wedge, then we can often observe a bullish divergence. So this is obviously what we can observe oftentimes on the RSI. The RSI is the relative strength index, and it shows us, yeah, how strong are the bulls, how strong are the bears, and we can certainly see if we have a bullish divergence, which means that you make lower lows on the price chart, as you can see here in the in that pattern, but you make actually higher lows on the RSI. And this is true on the 1 hour chart, which is not too meaningful, but you can also observe it on the 4 hour chart. And this is where it's getting interesting. So you've got your descending wedge, yeah, and you have a bullish divergence. And this is really, and not only, and I believe you have also that bullish divergence on the MACD, yes, where you also make higher lows. Yeah, so this is very interesting, and we could see possibly here a bullish crossover on the MACD again on the 4 hour chart. And this is really a potential turnaround point. As I said in some of my altcoin videos today, we need to be aware of it. I mean, we are still technically in a downtrend as long as you are below this or here in a following a descending trend line. You are technically in a downtrend, but we need to be aware that at any point it can turn around, and that would then actually be in line with my primary scenario here at the moment, that we go up first and then come down. However, don't really like that scenario because it would mean that this will all take much, much longer, and we might be sitting here until until summer or whatever, until we finally get into my yellow target area in the between 20 and 29k. I would actually love to get that final sell-off straight away and then turn around in the yellow target area, ideally around 27.5 to 25,000. This is also in the range where the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level is sitting, a very relevant Fib level, actually the most relevant, the most important Fibonacci retracement level. So yeah, keep in mind this descending wedge, highly, highly relevant, highly important. I think this is something that could play out bullish, and is sort of one of the rescue options that Bitcoin has to, yeah, maybe stop that downtrend. Maybe stop it before it gets really, really rolling. Because on the 8 hour chart, I mean, yeah, we can observe a slight bullish divergence here, but here it's already, we were oversold. And also here negative momentum is reduced again. Can we already see it on the daily? Not yet. So the daily is still pushing down. So this potential bullish divergence has not translated over onto the daily chart yet. So we are really, really here at the moment at the decision point, and the market will decide. And I believe here when the market is going to decide, and that can happen quickly, yeah, because we're already in the apex of that pattern, then we could see quite a bit of a move, yeah. To the upside, if we break to the upside of this pattern, the first target would be the beginning of the wedge, and that would be here, the top. So basically 47.5k, also that resistance zone that you can see here on the chart. I believe if we break that to the downside, I think we can get to the support level of that channel in which Bitcoin still is, which would be at around 39.3k. So yeah, it's very interesting, quite an interesting weekend, even though the prices don't really move. But if you understand, yeah, what is happening sort of in the background in this pattern here, or yeah, in the background here, it's quite interesting actually. So yeah, hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.